2:17 a.m. The call came in just like any other. A single vehicle accident, rollover, possible entrapment. For Captain David Miller, 25 years on the job, it was routine. Muscle memory took over, gear on, engine roaring to life, sirens cutting through the quiet suburban night. But David had a rule: never get complacent. Because on this job, routine can turn to tragedy in the time it takes for a single heartbeat. You won't want to miss what happens next. Before we start, subscribe for more powerful stories of courage, sacrifice, and survival. Now let's continue. The dispatch crackled the address. 14th and Elm. David's stomach tightened. He knew that intersection. It was 3 blocks from his own home. He'd driven it thousands of times, taken his daughter, Sarah, through it on her first driving lesson. He pushed the thought away. Focus on the job. The engine screamed around the corner, its lights painting the neighborhood in strobing red and white. There it was. Small sedan, flipped on its roof, crumpled against an old oak tree. The scene was eerily quiet, save for the hum of the engine and the crinkle of metal cooling in the night air. David and his crew worked fast, their movements precise and practiced. Jaws of life, stabilizing struts, glass cutters. Every second mattered. The driver was pinned, unconscious. As they cut away the pillar, clearing a path, David got his first clear look at the person inside. Stopped. The world went silent. The high-pitched whine of the hydraulic tool faded into a distant hum. Everything faded. Lying motionless in the driver's seat was Sarah's best friend, Emily, a girl he'd known since she was in kindergarten. A girl who ate dinner at his house twice a week. He could see the friendship bracelet Sarah had made for her, still looped around her wrist. Professionalism is a firefighter's armor. A shield built over years of training and trauma. It's what allows them to run into burning buildings when everyone else is running out. It's what separates the rescuer from the victim. But in that moment, David's armor cracked. That wasn't just a victim, that was Emily. He could feel his crew's eyes on him. They saw it too, the hesitation, the flicker of personal horror on their captain's face. Someone said his name, a quiet question. David snapped back, gave the order. "Let's get her out now." The voice was his, but it sounded foreign, strained. He worked with a cold, terrifying fury, his hands moving with an urgency that bordered on frantic. He wasn't just a firefighter anymore. He was a father, terrified for the girl his own daughter loved like a sister. Statistics show that firefighters are more likely to die by suicide than in the line of duty. An estimated 30% suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, a rate comparable to combat veterans. They are our heroes, but their capes are heavy, woven with the memories of every call, every life they couldn't save, and sometimes every life they did. They got Emily out. She was alive, barely. As the ambulance screamed away, David stood on the silent street, the flashing lights reflecting off the broken glass. His hands, caked in grime and something else he didn't want to name, started to shake. Not just a little tremor, but a violent, uncontrollable shudder. His lieutenant, a young guy named Torres, put a hand on his shoulder. "Captain, you okay?" David couldn't answer. He just stared at the empty space where the car had been, replaying the image of Emily's face, the friendship bracelet. He saw his own daughter, Sarah, waiting by the phone. How was he going to tell her? How could he go home and pretend he was the same man who left for his shift 8 hours ago? The shift ended. The sun came up. David drove home, but he didn't go inside. Just sat in his truck in the driveway, the engine cold. The silence was deafening, filled with the ghosts of sirens and the echo of his own failing composure. He was Captain Miller, the Rock, the guy who always knew what to do. But sitting there, he was just David. And David was broken. The thing about PTSD and first responders is that it's a silent killer. It doesn't announce itself with a bang. It seeps in quietly, through the cracks in your armor, call after call, year after year. It's the sleepless nights, the sudden anger, the distance you put between yourself and the people you love. because you're trying to protect them from the things you've seen. David finally went inside. His wife found him in the kitchen, staring at a coffee cup, his hands still shaking. She didn't ask what happened. She just wrapped her arms around him. For the first time in 25 years, Captain David Miller let himself fall apart. He told her everything. About Emily. About the bracelet. About the terrifying feeling of his professional and personal worlds colliding in a wreck of steel and glass. He admitted he was scared. He admitted he needed help. That conversation was harder than any fire he'd ever fought. Admitting weakness felt like a betrayal of his entire identity. But it was also the first step. He made a call to the Firefighter support network. A number he'd given to countless rookies, but never thought he'd use himself. Talking to another firefighter, someone who understood the weight of the job, was like opening a pressure valve. He learned he wasn't weak. Emily survived. After weeks in the hospital and months of rehab, she recovered. The first time David saw her after the accident, she hugged him and whispered, "Thank you for saving me." He looked over her shoulder and saw Sarah, her eyes full of tears, mouthing the same words. In that moment, he wasn't a hero who had done his job. He was a man who had helped save a piece of his own family, his own humanity. The real battles aren't always fought in fires or at accident scenes. Sometimes, the bravest thing a hero can do is admit they need saving too. The call that changed everything wasn't the one that came over the radio at 2:17 a.m. It was the one he made himself. Asking for help. Because true strength isn't about never falling. It's about how you get back up. This story reminds you of the quiet heroes in your own life. Share it with them. And subscribe for more stories that show the heart behind the uniform. Thanks for watching, and see you next.